and she was probably about one infection away from passing away. The doctors at the hospital had said she was getting resistant to antibiotics. If she came in with a major infection and they couldn't treat it, she would have a heart attack and die. It was very traumatic, extremely traumatic. At what point do you say goodbye to your own child? And I spoke with you guys. Well, it stopped her screaming all night long. She was just screaming all night long, and it stopped her from doing that. And she's resting. She's a different person. She's healthy, she's well, and she's actually smiling again.
So not only yourself, but as a family, how are you feeling now that you're at one point thinking, do you resuscitate your daughter, like that's to the point of death, to now being fully functional?
Oh, it's just taken a huge load off my mind. My whole life was just focused on her, trying to keep her well, being in a care home. She's got caregivers, everything else, but it still wasn't enough. I was virtually on call 24/7. And it's hard. At what point do you say goodbye to your daughter? You do everything you possibly can, and you research outside the square to find something that will work. And what I have used has definitely worked.
Well, first of all, I'm very grateful, Jenny, that you're speaking to us. When you first come to Brilin in Christchurch, what was happening with your daughter at that time?
She was very unwell, and I went to Christchurch and she actually ended up back in hospital again, and I was in Christchurch and she was down here in Invercargill, so it was a pretty tough time. She was very, very unwell, bladder infections every 5 minutes, antibiotics constantly, off them today, on them tomorrow, back onto them tomorrow, and it was just really hard going. I didn't know where to go. She was getting to the stage where she was becoming antibiotic resistant. Each time she went into hospital, she had a different strain of bug, and she was very, very sick. She was a very sick little girl.
Did the doctors give any severe warning about if she continued to have these infections, what might happen?
They were asking about resuscitation, because if they couldn't treat her any longer, she would have a heart attack and die.
So did they not have any solutions for that condition?
No, only an antibiotic that worked, and that was it.
Okay. And so take us through a little bit about what happened. So you visited the Brilin Centre. It was actually for another family member.
Yes. Yeah. And I spoke with you, William, and I mentioned about my daughter, how unwell she was, and at that stage I was probably looking at maybe a couple of weeks or the next infection away from her passing away. And you suggested the parsley tea and the bioptron lighting. And as soon as I got back home from Christchurch, I started gave her the parsley tea and the bioptron light therapy, and she went a whole 10, 11 months infection free. I was using the bioptron light every day for about 3 or 4 months. And then I lessened it to about 3 times a week, then a couple of times a week, and now it's down to about once a week. And especially for her SPC catheter, each time that's changed, I make sure I go and give her good therapy 2 or 3 times that week, just to keep the infections all at bay. Because each time she was getting the catheter tubes changed, it'd be a different strain of bug that would come in. But then she got sick with a cold, couldn't drink enough fluids. I'd slowed down on the light therapy, hoping I could stretch it out to about 3 weeks so I could go on holiday. And she got sick, so now I'm back to doing it like at least once a week. It interrupted, her illness interrupted her sleeping. I think she got PTSD, and I spoke with you guys and you suggested the alpha stim. Well, it stopped her screaming all night long. She was just screaming all night long, and it stopped her from doing that. And she's resting. She's a different person. She's healthy, she's well, and she's actually smiling again.
So as a mum, Going from that point of you may lose your daughter in a few weeks to now, what's the big transformation? Like, what do you see now?
Oh, it's just, well, it's a huge load off my mind. At what point do you say you want to lose your child? It was becoming reality, and it was so upsetting. And I thought, how am I going to cope if she passes away? It's trauma on me, and she was going through a really bad patch herself. So.
And how because she's in some type of home of some type?
Yes, she is wheelchair bound,
Yeah.
and she is in a care home with 4 other girls. Yeah. She was screaming all night, and she was waking the girls, and it looked like she was going to have to move out because there was nowhere else for her to go in the house, because she was waking the girls up all night. And she was determined she wasn't leaving her room because she'd been there for about 15 years. And but where were we going to put her? A rest home, an old age rest home, and she's certainly not ready for that.
Have you received any feedback from the medical industry, from her own doctors and caregivers, about how she is now compared to what she was like?
Oh, the caregivers, yes, because they knew. They were even telling the staff members that my daughter was on her way out. Yeah. But the urologist, I spoke with him, and he was delighted to see that she was just so much better and out of pain. And and I had told him about the Brilin light therapy I was using, and he said sometimes conventional medicine just doesn't work.
What would your advice be to people, if they're caught in a similar situation?
If they're in a situation where they've been in agony, with bladder, that's the only one I can talk about at this stage, the Brilin light, but you must use it. No use using it once and saying, oh, that didn't work. And that's what happens with a lot of people. You've got to use it, and I probably overused it. Like I was doing up to 45 minutes a day on her bladder for 3-4 months, and but it kept the infections away. And not being at the hospital every week, not being at the doctor's every second day, the antibiotics not working. So I would suggest a Brilin light for anybody. And for their sleeping, if they're not sleeping very well, if they've got trauma, anxiety, the Alpha Stim, I recommend that as well, because the two in combination have worked extremely well with my daughter.
We really like the Alpha Stim, and the Brilin and the Alpha Stim. They're both medically approved.
Yes.
In fact, Brilin has over 5 Nobel Prize winning technology sciences involved with it. The Alpha Stim is the only technology we could find in our own due diligence that can actually re-regulate the alpha state. So it puts you into parasympathetic state, which is why it's helped with so much. So it can help with pain as well.
Yes.
If you were going to give a testimonial for Brilin, what would that be?
Talk with William would be one. If you've got any health concerns, talk with William, with you. And I'm sure you could come up with a plan to help with whatever the condition is. Like there's been my daughter, our granddaughter, and the information you have given us has certainly worked.
I think it's really important now for people to watch this. Brilin, we stay clear from treating, diagnosing or curing anybody. What we do is we gave you pathways to research. That's all we did. You went and researched it. You felt comfortable yourself to perhaps investigate that and apply it, and it happened to work for your daughter. Whereas it might not work with anyone else. So we've got to make that clear. How are you feeling now that you're at one point thinking, do you resuscitate your daughter, like that's to the point of death, to now being fully functional, other than, of course?
Oh, it's just taken a huge load off my mind. My whole life was just focused on her, trying to keep her well, being in a care home. She's got caregivers, everything else, but it still wasn't enough. I was virtually on call 24/7. And it's hard. At what point do you say goodbye to your daughter? You do everything you possibly can, and you research outside the square to find something that will work. And what I have used has definitely worked.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Appreciate your time.